Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about today is, I guess you could say it's like a little bit of a reality check. And it's about the things that have happened in the past, um, and how things were done and nothing was said. And I feel that now it's our turn. Okay. But before I get into anything, hello, my name is Autumn, and on this channel we talk about current events, things that happen here in this country, as well as other countries abroad. I do have a Patreon channel, and the link is in the description box below. And when you sign up, you get a free week trial. And I talk about things over there that we can't talk about here due to YouTube's terms and policies. And I talk about current events as well as going down rabbit holes. So it gets really, really juicy over there. And the one thing that I am going to be dropping over there today is, yeah, it's one of those. So you might want to go check it out, okay? So let's get into it. It's one of those. Y'all arm yourselves with coffee, okay? You got snacks? Get it. Not today, Satan. So, when millions of undocumented were ushered in through the southern border, you said nothing. When they abandoned millions of dollars worth of military equipment in Afghanistan, you said nothing. When they flaunted a two-tier system, justice system, one for them and then one for everybody else, you said nothing. When they covered up the laptop, you said nothing. When they passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill that failed miserably, you said nothing. When they forced Americans to take an untested arm ticket, you said nothing. When inflation crushed the middle class, you said nothing. When they sent billions to Ukraine, you said nothing. When chemicals polluted the water in East Palestine, Ohio, and they ignored it, you said nothing. When Americans were R-worded, robbed, and their lives taken by illegals, you said nothing. When they implanted Kamala as a presidential nominee without getting a single vote, you said nothing. When billionaire and anti-American George Soros funded dozens of AG elections, you said nothing. When they turned our classrooms into liberal indoctrination camps, you said nothing. When they spent our tax dollars on inmates, transition, surgeries, you said nothing. When they gave the citizens of Hawaii only $700 after losing their entire city, you said nothing. When they gave free money, food, and 5-star hotel lodging to the undocumented, you said nothing. When they came for our freedom of speech, you said nothing. When DEI weakened the military and put our national security at risk, you said nothing. When they colluded with the media to push false reports, you said nothing. When it was open season on law enforcement and criminals reigned, you said nothing. When they weaponized the justice system to take down their political opponents, you said nothing. When the bureaucrats took over the White House and ran the government, you said nothing. When they covered up 46's rapidly declining mental state, you said nothing. When they groomed our kids in school and hid it from the parents, you said nothing. When the drug epidemic exploded and thousands perished annually, you said nothing. When they accosted the Jews on their campuses, you said nothing. When they weaponized the intelligence agencies against Americans, you said nothing. When they spent $45 million on diversity and inclusion scholarships in Burma, you said nothing. When they let men play women's sports, you said nothing. When they chanted death to America and burned our flag, you said nothing. When they shut down our energy production and emboldened Russia, you said nothing. When crime rates in America, cities, increased, you said nothing. While thousands of veterans were left to sleep out on the streets, you said nothing. When 300,000 migrant children went missing and no one had a clue, you said nothing. When 46 pardoned his family and friends, you said nothing. When they sent billions to Iran and inadvertently funded Hamas, you said nothing. When men were celebrated for pretending to be women, you said nothing. When they let a Chinese spy balloon sail across America, you said nothing. When 50 intelligence agents all lied to bury the laptop as Russian disinformation, again, you said nothing. When American citizens were taken hostage and held for a year in Gaza, you said nothing. When Facebook admitted that they conspired with the past administration to censor the truth, you said nothing. When they cleaned the streets of San Francisco for Communist China President Xi Jinping, you said nothing. When Fauci and the WHO peddled the Mr. 19 lies and covered up the origins, you said nothing. When they sealed the J6 commission files or they lost them, again, you said nothing. You saw the corruption. You saw the lies, the bad policies, the anti-American agenda, and yet you said nothing. So please, spare us your crocodile tears and all your fake hysteria now, because for 4 years you watched this country get run into the ground on all fronts, and yet you say nothing. So now it is our turn. Ciao, fearless.